Abend.
Guten Abend. How are you doing, Michael?
Marco, Bart, Daniel, Michael, Drum Mensch. Oh, bearded, of course. Yeah, that was a day. That was a day. Thorsten,
Have a nice Sunday?
Yeah, it was an amazing Sunday. A little bit tricky to handle, but I did it. I did it. I walked the boys. I did other
nice.
stuff. Okay. I went to a record fair in Duisburg and I got over 30 amazing, amazing records. And I did the first part of the video already. And now I'm at point with you here on the stream. Hey, Frank. And how was your Sunday? You look like a British golf player in La Manga in Spain when the first sunlights come out by -5 degrees. He goes on the golf course with a t-shirt.
Well, I was out with the family earlier.
You have been out, right? Too.
Sunday lunch thing today with family.
Cool.
Which is always nice. Yeah.
So
we did that.
It is.
And then, so you might be aware, at the moment, there's a rather big football game going on. In fact, where's Liam? Where's Liam? We should be talking about this.
Liverpool?
At Wembley, there's the Carabao Cup final going on. Chelsea v Liverpool. And it's just about to get to full time to go into extra time. It's 0-0. So
and you sit here. Oh wow. Oh wow.
Well, Michael, I'll just show you. I've got it on my phone.
That's what we hear. That's what we hear. Okay.
So you wonder what that was, and I'm sorry, but that's going to have to stay because that's looking rather tense. But that's why I want to know where Liam is, because we could talk about this, and it would be so much fun. You see, because
I have an idea. I have an idea why he is not there now or here now.
Well, he's obviously watching it, isn't he? In fact, I was maybe going to go, but I decided just because it's Sunday, and also Wembley. It's great going to Wembley, but it's a whole day, and it's a bit mad.
I get it.
And also my daughter, she's does dance. She's really like a pro dancer at a school, and she's doing these regional competitions at the moment, which has also taken the last 4 days. So I was kind of being around. I'm doing my I'm doing the dance. Oh look, Manch is so cool. Look, your priorities are straight. See, there we go. See, even with Chelsea there in the background, and I've even turned it down a little bit because. By the way, guys, I've got a killer. I wanted to celebrate Chelsea Liverpool, and I've just listed some super clean Beatles OGs. The most famous band in the world from Liverpool, and I've just put them in the shop, and I spent a couple of days working on them, and they're beautiful. And I want to show some of them. We'll have a little talk about them. So it's going to be a little bit Beatles heavy. But you're going to enjoy it, and there's really, really nice things. So yeah,
we are quite Beatles heavy in the last weeks, Dave. Wow.
And by the way, Michael, I just want to say it's not intentional. It kind of disorganically happens. I don't
exactly
think
when they show up, right?
It's a bit like that, and I kind of go with the organic flow, and it just happens to be Beatles at the moment. And when we started doing the deep dives into a couple, that was kind of cool. I enjoy doing that.
Now that you say that, Dave, I say that since 3 or 4 years. Maybe those hardcore Beatles fans starts dying.
Maybe some. I mean, what my thing about it is, there's a lot of Beatles records out there. The problem is finding the
good ones,
the really nice examples. And these are all hand selected by me and listened to by me. That they are of a quality which you don't see. right? Often. So this is the difference. You know, you can go down, you know, I could go out tomorrow and go and buy some Beatles OGs. You can do that, you know, in the UK. You will get some, but you won't get, you know, they won't be necessarily pretty. They won't, you know, they will be. This is the thing with Beatles. Beatles records were heavily played, you know, at parties by people, and even though they made hundreds of thousands of them, many of those copies were heavily played. So it's about finding those really special ones that, like, hold on, this is looks like it's not really been used very much, and they're the ones that I, you know, and I've got a real keen eye for that sort of thing, and I'm going to show. I'll show you little signs. You know, we're going to talk about some records. I'm going to show you some signs of what you look for that helps in this situation. Yeah. So
Great.
yeah,
That's always important, and quite complicated when it comes to the Beatles, right? Not that easy when it comes to.
The first thing is, you know, I'm going to show all the ones. I think I put. I think it was six up, but there's lots of, the thing is with Beatles, there's loads of different variations on pressings, yeah, and you know there can be, again, you know, see the thing is, we talk about this before a lot as well, where there's sort of minor textual changes on labels that indicate differences, yeah, and you know with the Beatles you get an awful lot of these, yeah. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to start with a classic album. We're not starting earlier. I've actually put some earlier ones up as well, but the album I'm going to start with is Revolver. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe my favorite. Maybe, yeah, probably my favorite.
Yeah. So we're sort of talking here potentially. You know, I think when it comes to Beatles albums, you know, for me personally, you know, I think Revolver, I think Abbey Road, I think Rubber Soul, and obviously Sergeant Pepper's. Yeah, but I would actually say Revolver, Abbey Road, Rubber Soul are kind of my three. Then Sergeant Pepper's just very slightly, and then obviously the White Album. So,
so you're also you're a bit like me, the later stuff, not the early stuff.
Yeah, so we're talking that at the point when you hit 1965 onwards. You know, it's when they start to change. They start this process of experimentation. They move from that sort of R&B pop band to maybe more. Well, obviously they started to get high, whatever, but it allowed them to experiment. You know, there was obviously changes going on in the studio as well with George Martin, techniques. Nice, Daniel. That's really cool. So yeah, a great year, 65, by the way. Yeah, 65 is kind of the good crossover. So I want to so this record I want to show. So this is a stereo Revolver. So it's not, you know, everybody goes mad about the mono Revolver, you know, the XTX 606-1, the first one with the slightly longer version of Tomorrow Never Knows, yeah. But I put this up now. This is something rare because this is an example of this is what I'm talking about, condition, yeah. So have a look at this sleeve on the back, yeah. Now this sort of condition is very difficult to find. And the real telltale signs, we've looked. I know we've looked at this before, but you know you can see how clean and crisp the flip back is, yeah. But also one of the real sort of you know, on black sleeves, yeah, and particularly on Revolver, you'll see this on copies of Revolver, where the first place that wear shows is on the opening edge on the back, along this black edge where the seam is, where it opens. And you know, to get ones that are like this, that are this clean, I mean, the back, you know, even the print is still got, it's really nice. See that?
It's right for black. It's amazing. Exactly.
I mean,
That's
you've got to remember this album. This is 1966. Yeah. So it's just you know, I looked at this sleeve and I was like, there we go. See, this is one that you don't. This condition you don't normally see. Yeah. They normally there's creasing, and particularly on. I mean, it's the back on this that really does it. You don't with Revolver, you don't see a back like that. It's always got something going on. Now,
I discussed this topic with the Beatles with Stunty for quite some time and relatively intense. And I'm always, what I say about Beatles originals is you get them if you want to perfect, if they want perfect copies, you even can get them within a week, but you have to get really deep into the pockets. Because when we talked about, this Invincible records, this what we should sometimes play on our Wednesday streams, this is different, but they are out there. But if you want really, really, really good copies, you have to get deep into the pocket, really deep.
You do.
Sometimes surprisingly deep.
Now, I'm going to show you the inner as well. This is the inner it came in. Yeah. Now, again, there's telltale. This is a classic EMI, Emitex, polylined inner. Now, with the Beatles, there's two types of inners they use. They're all the Emitex like this. So the same printing, where it's got the same message here at the top. Yeah. So this is all the same, but you either get the rice paper type, so it has the lining is of a rice paper material, or you get the polyline. And what I've noticed is, all the early ones are rice paper, but when you start to get to the 60s, so 65, 66, 67, they move to using these. But I noticed you still get some monos that use the rice paper, but the stereo ones, they moved from 65, they moved to using polylined. And I was talking, it's weird, I was talking with someone this week about this, and what we think, back then it would have been more expensive to produce these polyline ones over the rice paper type. Now, what we think was for the stereo, because with classical, they always use these. Yeah, they never use the rice paper type. Yeah, they always use the polylined, and they're very expensive records. So what I think was with the stereos, they used the poly because they were more expensive. Yeah. So that's a little theory we've got going on about it. But anyway, it's important to realise that both types were used, but they only use this one later. But all the early Beatles used the rice paper type. Yeah. And I'll show you that this, because again, this copy, I mean, I was very tempted when I listed it. I was very tempted to give it the archive tab. You know when I like to call something archive, but I didn't quite. But it really, this is like, it is right on the edge. I mean, it's a joke how clean it is. I played it all the way through yesterday, and there's not a sound on it. It's just lovely. And I've got to say, hearing the stereo, I've got the mono version, the famous first mono.
I got my mono version from you years. Now I can. It's years ago. Imagine that.
I remember, Michael, and it was a lovely copy as well, by the way. I do remember that. Yeah. Everybody wants the first mono. I've got to say, hands up, I love the first mono version of this. Probably the best Beatles album, give or take. That's debatable. It's what you like, but we're kind of in that zone, and
but having both versions is not as bad. I mean, hey.
True. But that is unbelievable condition. And I'll just show you something, another little thing to look out on these. I like it when we talk about sort of details. With these Emitex inners, the polyline ones, and also the rice paper, but you tend to see it more on the polyline ones. As part of their production process, when you get a really clean example, you'll see these lines here.
Yes, exactly. I see them,
and also this side. This is when they printed them. It was part of the printing process.
Yeah. They have a clamp.
They were hanging upside down. On clips. And I think coming out of the because these have to dry. Yeah. So when you get really clean early ones, you can still see the clip marks at the bottom here and here. There's just two on both sides. Yeah. So it's just really interesting just to be aware of that. That's what those are.
Well, this is nothing where it's, look, it's not perfect. No, it's a production.
No, that's a production thing. And, to be, Michael, to be honest with you, I know these inner sleeves like the back of my hand. I have seen thousands, so I know all the little things about them.
Yeah,
See,
yeah,
and
exactly.
that's just one of them. You know, it's just to be aware of that when it's really funny. You only tend to see it on the very cleanest examples that have not been used very much, which is what this is. You see, so it's I like that. Look, see, Justin knows where we're at the moment, where we're talking about.
So if Justin says that he has no idea, that really means something. That really means something. Cheers.
So yeah, again, it's just something to look out for. That when you pull it out, if you see that, this means it. That will tell you that sleeve has not been pulled out of the sleeve, out of the jacket very much. Yeah, it's kind of in its original state. Yeah, because you see them without that, and you see battered versions, and you can see inners that have been used a lot. But I like it when you see them like that where they haven't.
That's for
But
sure.
yeah. That is probably the best ever stereo Revolver I've ever seen. So there you go.
Okay.
All right.
Here we have our verdict.
There we are. That's pretty serious. And something else to follow up with now.
No, that's a question. Only a stack of space.
Hey, Joe, I know you'd love to see the spares, Paul, wouldn't you? You would love
Have
to
I
see.
told you I had a call with Thomas after our last video with the white album, which is gone, by the way, with the spacer, and he went and Thomas went through all, and he has. You can imagine how many white album originals Thomas has. He went through all and looked for the spacer.
None.
He didn't find one.
Not one. See, people don't. Again. People never talk about these little things, but that spacer, and I know it's just a piece of paper, but it is super rare. And it's just because people chucked it away.
Yeah.
They got it.
Yes,
and, if you think a White Album, 1968, people would take those photos out, the poster, they would put them up on the wall. They would get that piece of paper and go, don't need that.
What is
but
it?
The problem is now, and I know how rare that, I've only ever seen, Justin, they were, in fact, they were slightly, you're right, it's very good to mention the color. They are on a very slightly cream finish, almost shiny cream finish, and I think it was something to do. Sorry, that's Jackson, my Jack Russell.
We love this. We love dogs at this place.
We love that. Look, I am a dog lover.
So you have a new dog.
No, we had two. Well, one of my dearest little Chihuahua Lola passed away last year. But we've had Jackson. Jackson's 14, and we've had him.
Jackson is 14. Okay.
It was very sad for him when Lola passed away. Because they were thick
and he will still suffer. You can be sure he still suffers.
He's cheered up. He's in good spirits these days. Now we're in the new year, so you move on. You never forget, but you move on. So, but Jackson's brilliant. Yeah, he's yeah. In fact, Jackson knows about the spacer, and I'll tell you something. And I told you before about that. I looked on Discogs because there are about 64.
Yeah, you
There was only one copy that had it. Yeah.
So there was one. Okay.
There was just one, and it was. You know how much it was? It was over £2,500 just with that. And it wasn't even an early number. It was a much later number. But they go with spacer. Yeah, and it's true because they used it, and I know we covered it before, but they definitely used it to protect those prints. They obviously used it to protect the top print. So the prints were together, but the very top one, normally John Lennon, that was put on the top to cover it, and then the poster. So that's just how it was produced, Amazing. And so whenever it's so funny now. Everybody goes and looks at their White albums to see if they've got it. And I look any White album I see, I always flick into the front. Normally all the inserts are in the front of the top. It's a top opener, so they're in the front bit. And I always look to see if there's a spacer in there, because if there is, I always buy it. But I've only seen two. So I'm going to move on. Yeah. So
Yes.
we've done a lovely Revolver stereo. I'm now going to show. Now this is something that's a bit it's got a bit of a legend. Well, I say it's legendary, but anyway, you'll know what it is. So it's Rubber Soul, right?
Robbers.
But this is a reissue of Rubber
Okay.
Soul, but an early reissue. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking 1966. Yeah. This is 1966. So we're only talking a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's got something quite special about it, and you some people out there might be aware of this. There's a particularly wanted version of this, yeah. And so this, look, it's interesting. So it's a mono. This has got
Yeah.
the, we were talking about the rice paper type. So this is
Mm-hmm.
the rice paper type Ematex in the sleeve, and it's different. It's got I mean, you guys all know this. I don't need to go into too much detail, but it's like you can hear it. It's like a crispy type paper. This was the type that they used for all the early Beatles and a lot
Yeah.
of the rock pop records. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Now, the reason I'm showing this particular version is to do with the matrices on it. And I don't know if I can show it. Let me see if I can get it. So yeah, if you look at the bottom, you can see it's get it into focus. Y is it YEX? Yeah. YEX hold on. 579-5. And it's the -5 that's important. And on the side too, is also -5. Now, this is the Hazel Yarwood cut. Yeah.
So is it what Hey Joe is
Yes, it
referring?
is. Yeah. This is
Okay.
the one that's considered to be the best cut, and it was done by Hazel Yarwood, a female
Oh,
cutting
okay.
engineer at Abbey Road Studios. And I really like the Rubber Soul loud cut, the very first mono. But what they did is they remastered it. They had to redo it. The loud cut, they decided they didn't like it. It was too loud, too brash. Although we can get into the debate around this, because I actually really like that version of it. I think, and I talked to OBC members about this. I've done it a few times. I really like the Beatles when they've got a more raw, almost garagey R&B sound, which can be afforded a bit more when you do a lacquer cut like that, where it's quite loud and it's almost a bit overdriven, so it doesn't make it sound so poppy. And I think the Beatles can sound good like that. And I've got a first version of Please Please Me, and again that, and I've got a gold one, right? Rare, that's rare as hell. And
Mm-hmm.
that sounds really, really raw. But
No.
yeah, so the loud cut was great. You're right, Hey Joe. But I'll tell you something. This Hazel Yarwood one, yeah. So she recut it, and this they you have to get. It's so. I mean, right. There's none of these on Discogs. You won't find it. There's nearly 600 people that want this. You won't see it anywhere. And I've only, ever since the start of the OBC, and I realised that this Hazel Yarwood was really wanted. I've only ever seen one copy of it, and I look, and you just don't. There's one that came up on eBay, and by is it Parlogram? I think went for an awful lot of money, because this one is kind of such a different interpretation of the album. It is by far the most. I don't like the word audiophile, but you know what I mean. This one is very dynamic. Yeah. Very dynamic, but not overdriven. Almost, it's kind of refined, sophisticated sound, and it's by far the best version. If you want that, I mean, this would probably be the one that would suit a modern system. I've got old school equipment. I've got an old mono 1950s Pierre Clement French mono dedicated turntable. Yeah, my loud cut, put it on there. Happy days. This, if you've got some modern.
Yeah, okay.
This one will fly on that. Yeah. So there's so many factors to take into account. So, but I've got to say, the Hazel Yarwood is brilliant, and it's impossible to get. So, and I've got one. There's no copy. You can't get this anywhere at the moment.
So we will see those copies at the OBC shop.
It's already up. I put all this stuff up 5
Okay.
minutes before,
I haven't looked.
before I came on the stream.
Nice.
So they're already there. I thought.
Is it
I
okay?
thought,
Is it okay? Just a short break. I would like to put up a question and a reply from Drum BSC. Question is from.
yeah, of course.
Question is from Daniel. With these types of rare records, how is the best way to keep them safe after 50 plus years of time? Oxygen would be an enemy. And then Drum VC replied, I would think temperature and humidity are important variables, not
Drum
O2.
VC is very correct. Temperature and humidity. Look, there's a lot of things that we need to talk about on that, and I think we could do a whole stream on it. You know, we've got the whole debate. You know, PVC sleeves, and the effect of the PVC and acids in the plastic on card is an issue over time. Yeah, over many years, that can change the card and you know make and we know this from the world of comics. It comes from that side, but that's definitely a thing. But you're right, humidity, temperature could impact both the card, the jacket, but also it can impact. I mean, you know, I've seen
sunlight. Let's not forget about sunlight.
That change. In fact, I've got a great example of that we can have a look at here. You're going to love this, actually. Right. So sunlight. Look at this. Copy. This is a first, you know, the misaligned apple, the misprint.
Misaligned, yeah.
But look at the cover. Look at the top, and then look at the change. Can you see?
Here we go. Yeah. Sunlight, right?
That's sunlight. Sunlight changes ink, and particularly under laminate. So this has had sun exposure. You can tell. Yeah, I've seen this a lot with you know, with classical records. You see, because I've seen all. Yeah, so Justin, you're right. That's what I was talking about. The acidity. So the PVC sleeve thing. What you should use is acid-free plastics like Mylar. But you know, that's again a whole conversation, and you know, it changes. But sunlight impacts sleeves. But when we're talking about discs themselves, humidity. If a disc is in a environment where there's regular humidity over a long period of time, you start to get spots appearing on the vinyl surface. You might have seen this. And again, you know, I know all of this from the classical world because we're going, you know, I'll see collections of classical records from, you know, records 50, 60 years old. And you can see that even though they've not been played for, you know, however many 20, 30 years, the discs themselves will show some of this sort of this speckling on it, and it's caused by humidity and exposure to humidity. And that can happen with inside the jacket itself, inside the inner sleeve. And also there's a term called you might know this term, it's called bag rash. So those you know, we're looking at the two types of inners with the Emetex. So we got the rice paper and we got the poly. Now with humidity in the poly, you get something called bag rash, which is like where the poly line reacts with the disc surface, and you get these sort of wavy lines, almost like a herringbone pattern, and that's because of that. So again, you know, there's all these factors, and you know, thankfully, Michael, nowadays we have the lovely inners that are supplied. You know, you know, we know the type. You know, which are not impacted by this, but the old ones are. So again, if you're buying OGs and they come in the original sleeve, you should, you know, we know this. You immediately re-sleeve it anyway, and you keep the inners separately. That's kind of like a given now.
This is such a typical change because I just saw most of the Beatles are gone already, by the way.
Oh well, hey Michael, that I've got to say, and I'm not blowing up, that they were all hand selected by me. What I think, you know, they were just like amazing, each one, and I listened to every single one from start to finish, and I was like, that's a copy. You know, that it had to. I listened to a disc and it's got to get me. So let's have a look here. So yeah, let's talk about this a little bit, because it's an interesting subject, inners. You know, not just whether it's the right inner to do with the record you've got, but also, so Justin, foxing is another environmental characteristic that happens to a jacket. Yeah, so foxing is like, and it's something that happens on the rear of sleeve. So when you've got the tip, you know, when we've got we'll have a little look at one and I'll show you. Let's have a look at I've got a copy of Hard Day's Night. I haven't even got round to this yet, but I've got a sort of crazy crazy stereo copy of Hard Day's Night. But on the back of the sleeve, foxing is where you start to get some little brown. They're like sort of brown circles that start to appear, sort of dots. Yeah, and they can be quite big, some of them. That again is an environmental factor. Again, humidity related. It's kind of like a reaction. Again, I've seen it lots on classical records, ones that have been around for 50 plus years. It must be to do with the storage environment, because some records you don't see it on, others you do, and it's not related necessarily to the type of cardstock that's used. So it's definitely an environmental factor. And sometimes you get it really heavy, so there'll be quite a lot of brown marks on the back. And that's what it is. They give it a polite term. It's called foxing. It's actually, Justin, it's interesting because it's a really old school name, very old school term. I mean, I remember that term being used 30 plus years ago when we were talking about jackets. I kind of like it, you know, but essentially they're brown humidity marks. And while we're on the subject of changes and environmental factors, you know, Michael, we talked before quite a lot about black sleeves, yeah, and how they get quite impacted. If they're matte finish, non-laminated, you get quite a bit of cracking going on because black's impacted more. So, you know, for some, I don't know whether it's the type of ink that's, you know, that's used, but you get a lot of cracks appearing. They show more. But also there's an issue with black under laminate. So a laminated sleeve with black, there's a reaction that happens between the laminate and the black ink, which causes a white mottling effect. Yeah. So we call it, again, there's a term around that called ghosting. It's called ghosting. And it's where it goes like a sort of, I need to get some examples to show you, but it's again, it's a reaction of the laminate. And there's certain, you know, I can tell you the classical records it happens on. There's like a Rosalind Turek Goldberg variations, HMV ALP 15481549.
Stop right there.
No, I've got to do that because I love to.
No, you have to. You just have to. No.
Yeah, so 15481549, and the black on that is notorious. Yeah, it just always gets this effect. Yeah, and the same with the Beethoven Symphony Number 9 with Otto Klemperer SAX 2276-2277. Again, gets this white ghosting that appears, and it's just a reaction, and you know you can't do anything about it. But the thing is, you sometimes find sleeves that haven't had this happen. So you know, it's really weird. There's some that it happens really heavily, and then there's others where it hasn't happened. And so I think the only thing you can put it down to again is environmental, you know, exposure, where it's been stored, how it's been stored, and hey,
you know, when it comes to them, I can add also something, especially with a lot of German krautrock records. 70s lamination tends to get off of the carton, which is also a terrible thing. Sometimes you have completely ruined perfect records, but the lamination goes off due to
back in the 50s and 60s, they used film lamination, you know, so it's like a sheet of like a celluloid sheet. Yeah,
and if so,
I know people love it when I start just saying numbers of records because I think of the record, but then I'll tell you what the catalog number is, and that's actually is quite. We're going to have to do a test. I wanted to do this. I was thinking the other day, I might get people like Bearded SXL will be good at this. I want you to sort of tell me a piece of music that's on an SXL 2000, and I'll tell you what the catalog number is. Yeah.
We
We'll
will
do
do
it on
that.
the train.
We will do that at the. We will do that
Yeah.
in Den Bosch in a live stream.
But I've got to say that laminate processes have changed over the years, and everything back in the 50s was like kind of film laminate, and then they moved to like a sort of, you know, like a gloss coating laminate, you know, which is different. And you know, it's funny, you can't do, you know, film laminate now. Film lamination is not a done thing now. Yeah, like it used to be in the old days. It's very different, and even the type of material, you can't get some of these old materials anymore. And another example of that, I'll just say this one as well, it's very interesting. With a lot of the old EMI record labels, you know, like again, I'll refer to classical, like the 33CX blue and gold, or you know, where they're using like a gold or a silver. They were using lead paints, Michael, lead, and you can't get that anymore. You can't get that same type of ink to do those labels. Yeah,
Just cannot. It's forbidden.
they don't
It's
make
done.
it. You're not
It's done.
allowed.
Yeah.
And so a lot of these old processes are kind of lost in history. But you know, it's something beautiful about what we do with all these records that we love getting them. You know, when you get them, you can sort of tell the quality that they were doing there.
Break.
I have a beer. In fact,
That's the reason. So, because Daniel is saying, so what is the beer today? You earned a drink.
we do, yeah. Hey, Daniel, thank you. So I'm gonna top up. It's still 0-0, by the way. They're in extra time. It's at 1 hour 17.
Oh,
I think it's going to go to penalties. So,
no, how will you do the stream when it comes to penalties?
I'm hoping. Well, I'll tell you what we might have to do. If we get to the break and then penalties, I think that will be see ya. And then I'll be sitting here, or you could just watch me, and I'll be like this, going no. Anyway, we're all cool.
When two British soccer teams do or football teams do a penalty, do they score every now and then?
Hold on, no, it's 1-0 to Liverpool.
What happened?
I didn't see. Damn.
What happened?
No, I can see it's one. No, it's 1-0 to Liverpool. Wow. So that's why.
In your case, in
Liam's
Liam's
having a good time. Liam's obviously having a good time. So anyway, don't worry, we'll crack on. Yeah. So beer is I'm having a this is quite common. This is again, it's not like it's Beavertown oil. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, Michael, you might even know this, I'd imagine, in Germany now, because this was actually a very small brewery in Tottenham. And it was, I'll tell you an interesting, guys, there's an interesting story around this, which you'll like. Yeah. This was actually set up by Logan Plant, who's Robert Plant's son of Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
Obviously funded by his father, I would imagine.
Probably.
He set up this brewery. So it's Logan Plant.
Nice one. And is it a first pressing or a second pressing?
This I would call this a second pressing, but we did used to drink the first pressing about 10 years ago when it was new. They had it down at our local the Cow in
Robert Plant's son is having a brewery near Tottenham.
He's got a brewery, yeah. But I'll tell you what, Michael, you'll find this interesting. So it got quite big, yeah, the brewery, and he got an offer. He got bought out, yeah. He got bought out by Heineken. Heineken bought his brands, yeah, and they spent an awful lot of money on it. Yeah, we're talking in the range of I mean, it's a lot, yeah, a couple of 100 million, something like that.
No.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And now you can get it everywhere. But it's a good, you know, it's one of those first. It's one of those. By the way, Steve, nice to see you. Steve knows his beers proper, but so yeah, I mean, it was probably one of the first craft beers. Yeah, I mean, in fact, Logan Plants, yeah, sometimes drinks at the Cow. Yeah, so I might, hey Joe, if I see him, yeah, I might pull him to one side and see if he's got any. Because I bet he must have some crazy records. Yeah,
of course he has.
I mean, imagine if he had some sort of nice Led Zeppelin test pressings or something like that. That's
Might
what I'd
be.
like to get my hands on.
Go over him, but give him a few beers before first.
Anyway, yeah, look, Beavertown, Logan Plant. There you go. That's a nice little musical connection there to show you. So yeah, been extremely successful. So, yes. But anyway, we were talking about Beatles, weren't we?
Also extremely successful, right?
Well, it looks like their football team as well, you know. But yeah, hey Steve, you're right. I mean, it was the numbers were touted around. I think the precise number was about 187 million. I was told that by people that would know. So yeah, he's obviously done. It shows that there's a lot of money if you get a great craft brewery going on and it's got nice trendy graphics like that. You know, they did the graphics were great, and one of the big boys will come along and make you an offer you can't refuse, right? Heineken, where are they from, Michael?
Netherlands. You're originally probably Netherlands.
I mean, they're a multinational company, but I didn't know where.
Like X now. Yeah.
I just know that they're huge, and they you know, it's just crazy what these companies can. And then the thing is, it's going to happen to other ones as well because we got some brilliant, like Verdant, one of my favourites in Cornwall. They're going to be ripe for the picking. You know, they're too good. So some big player's going to come along and take them.
Yeah.
I like, you know, I'm really into independent. I love independent businesses, and you know, there's something beautiful.
Totally agree. Especially when it comes to food and
yeah. Well, it's such an important part of everything, isn't it? So you know, having sort of artisan producers, independent producers is where we're at. Yeah. So anyway, let me get back on what shall I show next? Do you know what? I might move away from Beatles. I know you've seen that I put some mad stuff up. I picked them all, but there was one other record that I got which is very, very nice, and I'm a huge fan of early Floyd. I love Piper at the Gates of Dawn and Saucer Full of Secrets, and I love original mono copies of these albums.
Yeah.
There's something about them that I love, and I acquired. Again, it's something that you don't see very often nice copies of, but I got a really nice.
Oh, we get into Pink Floyd now. Look at this.
Pink Floyd. I've sort of thought I've not really.
Have we ever? I don't know. Wow.
Do you know? I don't think I've ever shown any. Mate, no, I don't think I have. I should probably do a session on I should probably do a Dark Side of the Moon.
Those very, very early Pink Floyds. Hey, come on, they are.
I love them. I think this album particularly. You know, I love Piper at the Gates of Dawn, and for me, that is like Floyd. You know, but Also Full of Secrets is such a great album, and there's something about the sleeve. They're very hard to get nice sleeves, and again, we're going to have a little look at the flip back because it's always the flip back that tells. Now, because it's black. You do see that, you know, you do get the odd crease that shows a bit more like here. You can see where the laminate again. That is
wonderful copy.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's really tight. That's an example of a very tight sleeve. Again, look at the edge. You know, the edge never lies. Yeah, that top edge, the opening edge here, never lies. And you can see examples where you get a lot of creasing here. Yeah. You'll see white, you know, the black, cracking shows on black. Yeah. You know, that's just the nature of how it works with white card with black ink on it. And as soon as a copy's been used a lot, you will see all the cracking start to appear in this middle area here. Yeah. So that's actually a very clean example there. It's got the mono. You know, I just think these mono Columbia records are just so lovely. I can't get enough of them. Look at the inner on this.
Oh, the inner is of course an original. Okay, nice.
Oh yes, yeah. This is the correct EMI printed inner. So you have to have a look at the records that are there. I particularly like this one because if you look down, the correct one, you've got to have. Look, it's got Piper at the Gates of Dawn at the bottom there on the left side, you can see. So So it's actually got that. So that is the correct inner. It came. Look, I mean, it's really again a really nice example of the sleeve. Yeah, not nice edges. Look, you can see I've already put a. Sometimes I'll just put a. I put a
Okay.
plastic on it, but for the purposes, I keep the record separate to the original winner, but just for the purposes of showing on the stream, I put it back in because I like to take the record out of the original inner to show it. Yeah. So here we go. So yeah, Vinyl Dreamscape. I'm cut of the same cloth as you in that regard. I had a fascination when I was much younger, getting into 60s, 70s music with Syd Barrett, genius. And I had a fascination with that early British 60s psychedelic scene that started to happen 65, 66, 67, which is obviously 67 was the year, but it was happening earlier. And the whole, the underground scene, the psychedelic underground scene in London. So you had the UFO Club and the Roundhouse and the places where Pink Floyd were playing. Like you had Pink Floyd, you had Jimi Hendrix Experience, you had Soft Machine, and these bands. They had what was that? Was it called the 24-hour Technicolor something or other? Yeah, they did these. They were doing these were like the first raves. 24-hour gigs, Michael. Right, 24 hours jamming. Psychedelic light shows using oil lights, the colored oils swirling around. And, the Floyd were really the principle
Look
of
at
this.
this.
Yeah. But look at this. This is a really sweet copy. Again, I just love the condition. Yeah, I played this. Now I actually put it in the text on it. There is one scuff on side 2, but hey, I played this all the way through on my mono system, and it sings like a beauty. You can just tell. You can tell the quality. You just have to look at it to see how good that is as a copy. Is this sweet? And there's something, set the controls for the Heart of the Sun. That track on here, that's I wish I could have seen that in the day at the UFO Club or down at the Roundhouse, them playing that, doing a live jam of it, because it is just, that is out there, and that is Floyd.
Maybe Dave, let me say something, because we afterwards we will put this on the open channel too, and we get more and more new viewers and customers. For those who do this now, one explanation: you will find a link to the OBC shop in the video description down below, and the OBC shop is since January open to everybody. Everybody can buy records over there, and we have worldwide free shipping, no matter where you are. And it doesn't matter if you buy a 20 euro records or a 2,000 euro record, we have free shipping worldwide, just for the people who watch this for the first time. Sorry.
That's so cool.
It is cool. Worldwide free shipping is
You have
cool.
to say it, don't you? Otherwise, it's just yeah. I've just got to say, I was looking. So the Vinyl Dreamscape again was saying, do you see those early singles?
No,
And
wait,
I
yeah,
did. You do see them about, because things like, we're talking about like Arnold Lane, See Emily Play, Careful with That Axe Eugene. These early singles. Trying to get those is again, they're not easy to find. Really nice, but they are out there. They do turn up. They were quite, Floyd got a following quite quickly, and their singles were popular. So they Syd Barrett had a knack of writing a catchy song, right? See Emily Play, really, really good. And as much as I lean towards, I'm an album person. I do like singles, but I'm really an album collector. And the Pink Floyd suit the long form format. So Interstellar Overdrive, we're talking the long. I love the long jam tracks. Interstellar Overdrive is a remarkable piece of music. You know, I mean,
if you wouldn't live at the wrong place of Europe, you would be so heavily into krautrock, Dave. You would be, I'm sure.
Michael, I'm sure I would. I mean, that, you know, you get exposed to styles of music, and you know, obviously growing up in Britain, we were very, very rich musical heritage and history. And you get exposed to
let us have our small krautrock section.
No, but small, but very important. You know, and again, you know, just being close to that, it would have. You know, I could have. I mean, I have seen Noi live. Yeah, obviously a few years back, but I'm just happy to have done that. Right? Yeah, I'm like, that's so cool. Right? And it was at the Jazz Cafe in Camden. It was brilliant. Okay. Really, really good gig. But you know, you think about how important bands are like Can, but you know, you got to look where they go back to, and you know, Floyd, that early Floyd stuff would have influenced so much, around then. You know, and you know, you know, I still think.
But Dave, the early Floyd, not the later Floyd.
Not the later. And you know, don't get me wrong here. I love Dark Side of the Moon. I'll put that on. And it drives me, you know, it emotionally amazing for me, that album. I just think it's a stunning piece of work. You know, it's just one of the best albums ever made. But it's different to the roots of what Floyd were about, you know.
I mean, the title comes not from nothing, Wish You Were Here, right?
Yeah. You know, and
in a way that says it all, right? In my opinion.
Sort of, the magical pop that Syd Barrett was able to conceive is very special, and you will never see it again like that. Yeah, it was just a unique thing, again, a unique moment in time. You know, I always say this. I get where I go in town, you know, the Cow, but there's another pub over the road, the Westbourne, which I love. I go to. I'm very good. In fact, the guy that runs it, I go to Chelsea with. Right in there, they've got a poster on the wall. Yeah, I've got a picture. I must post it, but they've got a Pink Floyd poster, a silk screen from 1966 when they played just down the road there. Yeah, and I was in there when it got offered. Yeah, when it got offered to the owner. Yeah, not my friend. But he is the main owner of the whole thing, and he bought it for £200. That poster, and I was like, I wish I bought that. You know, we're going back 20 years, yeah. And I look at that, it's on the wall there now, and I look at it every time I go in there, I think that would have been an amazing gig. I wish I've got that. I wish I had that silk screen poster, you know. And it's you know, some of the posters are so collectible from around that time, all the psychedelic posters, they're amazing. You know, in fact, in the very early OBC stream, you might have remembered I showed a record. I should try and find another one actually. Hakshash and the Coloured Coats, yeah, which was the group. There was a group of artists, and they opened the first psychedelic clothes shop called Granny Takes a Trip on the King's Road in Chelsea. And these guys also did covers, and they also did posters, and they designed a lot of the early psychedelic posters to go with this whole scene that was going on. And I'll tell you something, Michael, some of those are worth a fortune now. Yeah.
Really? Are they?
Oh yeah, massively. To get ones in good condition, you know, these were amazing, you know, it's this amazing time, very special. So hey, you know.
Can you do Hey Joe a favor, please, because he might be interested in this one. Can you talk about the Beatles? Like,
I can. Yeah, of course. Hey Joe, for you, not a problem. So I'll get the it's a nice copy. It's not, so again, you know, we talk about different versions of things, yeah. Now, I've marked this as a reissue, this copy, but is it a reissue? And I'll tell you, see, this is the thing. You know, this is 1963, this album. Now, it's a very, look, I always look for really super clean cut sleeves. Yeah.
By the way, my favorite Beatles jacket. This is my personal favorite.
It's interesting, this one. Very slight. You might see as a very slight bit of discoloration,
Yeah.
The card is slightly changed, but not. This is actually, I would say, this is more this is like standard, yeah, but it's still super clean, lovely flip back. You know, I love I flip backs have to be sharp, yeah.
Yeah.
Front sharp. It's the very first. So you know, there's 3 types of mono size. So the bit of text here, you've either got there's a large, there's a mid, there's a small. Yeah, this is the first type. This is the large mono. The same is with stereo as well. There's a large, there's a mid, there's a small, and they changed it over the years. So the very early ones will have the large mono type like that. Yeah. So again, I'm going to show you the inner. So here we are. This is I'm just putting the record back in with the plastic sleeve so you can.
Sure.
I
Yeah,
like to
sure.
show in its inner. So there you are. Again, the Emitex. You see, you've got to have the correct inners, and again, a very clean example.
Does it
Now,
also have this clamp signs, or is that not so
yeah.
common?
So hey Joe, I'll show you.
Ah, cool. Look at this. Oh, that's
There,
wonderful.
can you see there? So there
Okay.
and there. So you've got the clamps on both sides, yeah. And again,
Cool.
you only see those. You only see those with sleeve inners that have not been through the mill, yeah. Because I don't know why they must sort of press out after a while, or but yeah, you can normally see them on the cleanest inners. And the reason I know that is with the classical, because with classical EMI records, they tended not to be played very much, yeah. So you'd pull them out and the inners are sharp, and they would always have those 2 lines on each side where it's almost like a large paper clip. They must be hanging, you know, sort of like a large paper clip on both sides, just hanging to let them dry after the printing. So yeah, look at the disc, and again, see, the copies I put up are a joke. That I was only picking. I mean, this is like hand picked top. Look at that, top quality. Top.
Hey Joe,
So,
good choice. Gratulation on this
look,
record.
no, but look at it. You don't the surface. It's. I mean, that's a 1963 Beatles record, right? Don't look like it. So yeah. So what's important with this? There's a few Beatles by this. They're all the superstars, right? So there's a version. This has got the Dominion credit. Yeah. There was an earlier version that had credit Jabet. We're talking about the publishing credits on the music credits. Yeah. Now they're both 1963. That this was issued in 1963. The Jabet credits 63. Yeah, they were making thousands of these because the Beatles were global superstars. Yeah, so there's a lot of variation within the year of release. And again, Michael, this is a subject we touch on quite a lot. Where you know I marked it as a reissue, but it's an issue. It's the wrong wording. It's an issue that was done in '63, but they changed the label because it's changed the publishing credit.
Are we in the realm of the management credit once more? Yeah,
It's the same thing. We're talking a month. You know, we're talking month. You know, we're talking months, a small amount of months, 2 months, 3 months. You know, they're cracked. EMI in Hayes, the presses, they're just on fire, knocking out with the Beatles, right? So there's going to be changes. But what you want when you get one, you want one from the release year, and you want it clean as hell, right? And that's why I pick these. You see, because
I get that. I totally get that, and I totally second that. Clean. There is nothing that can reach out to a clean copy.
Today. Yeah, I put this on earlier today, and it's sung. Yeah, I just put it on. I was like, "Damn, that sounds good." You see, and it's so yeah, Manch. So again, Manch is totally right. They were simultaneous. Yeah. So the aligned apple, the misaligned apple happened. They realised that they were going 24/7 doing Abbey Roads. Right. This is prior to release. They all came out at the same time. They obviously decided that some of the misaligned ones go out as well because they needed the sleeves. I mean, they must have done over 300,000 copies of that. 400,000. Something is serious enough. 500,000.
So spot on. I would say you even have them separately in the same record store, right? Just at the time, nobody looked at it.
No, they didn't look at it at the time.
No.
And they're all, you know, that's the thing. And there's also, again, with the Abbey Road. So, you know, there's the Her Majesty. So all the early ones, they don't have the Her Majesty on the sleeve or on the record. And then the slightly later ones do. They're all using the same matrices. You know, the matrices don't change. The stamp, you know, the mothers and the stampers do. But, you know, it depends what you want. You know, you know, the misaligned apple, aligned apple. You know, I want a really clean Abbey Road, because Abbey Road you need clean because it's got lots of quiet bits on it, and you know it's just nice to have a really nice sounding copy of it. You know, but hey,
Right.
You know, with Beatles, with Parlophone records, with Apple, you know, just really, I love a really clean first year example of the record, and you're in a great place. You know, and I've got to say that Parlophone records remind me a bit, I think, about Blue Notes. Yeah. Now, this one is super clear. You don't have to worry about it. There aren't any marks, but you can get, you know, some Beatles records, a few marks on. They were really, really well cut, really well pressed. Yeah. And so you can actually get away with a few hairlines, a few scuffs. It will still sound spectacular. Yeah. So, but, you know, I decided to go down the heavy route with these. They were like the real, you know, top end. So yeah.
Dave, have you put up another white album, Dave?
Yeah, I have. I put up another one, but this one doesn't have a spacer. But I'll show it. I might as well show it because it's here. Again, it's a step. I put up another stereo. I had another stereo, yeah, but this one doesn't have a spacer, I'm afraid. Unfortunately, spacers, I only had two, and the mono, and they gone, you know. So yeah, I hope I see another one on my travels at some point. You know, funnier things have happened. So I'll just show it. It's a very clean example of it. The sleeve on this, they tended to suffer from a bit of a crease at the top corner here. A lot of them have that. It's just because of the nature with the top opening, but also two discs, quite thick, and with the portraits and the poster, it's quite a lot of content with inside the sleeve. But again, it's all about getting what, you know. This is a really nice example of the sleeve. It's got really nice edges. Yeah, it's a clean example. And I'll show the inside as well. I can hear it's got the laminate cracking as well. So again,
nice.
You can tell it's quite, you know, I'm quite good at telling good sleeves. I love it. You know, I'm pretty particular with sleeves, just where it's come from. And
another question from the big Beatles fan. Hey Joe.
Yeah, go on.
Do you prefer the stereo or mono of A Hard Day's Night?
Do you know, hey Joe, and also
stereo?
Do you know, I'm going to have to, I listened to that stereo one all the way through, and I did think it sounded amazing. I've not done an A to B on that record. I do have out there I've got a pile of 5 monos. You know, I was very picky. I wanted to just have a look through, and I haven't done a comparison of the stereo versus the mono. But, you know, as a general rule, I kind of lean to mono myself. It's just the way I am. I'm kind of a bit of a mono freak. Yeah, I love a mono record. But I might do a little comparison. But what I will tell you is that when I listened to the stereo, I found it very, very. It had a beautiful engagement to it. Sounded also clean as a whistle, which is lovely. You know, it's just parts of it were so quiet. You know, in between the tracks, it was dead silent. I was like, God, that's, you know, for 65 record, that's pretty heavy. Yeah, you know, so it's nice.
Okay, Beatles for sale. Justin says
stereo is killer, right? Okay, that's interesting, Justin. You know, because the Beatles stereos, they're harder to find here. There's more monos about. Yeah, monos cheaper, more popular. Yeah, they obviously made tons of monos. The stereos are not quite as easy to find. Yeah, and so that's it. You know, I might put the feelers out to get some of these earlier ones in stereo form. In the Hard Day's Night's the only one that I had from the earlier ones. I do have a Please Please Me gold stereo, but that's my own, right? Factory sample. Anyway, yeah.
We have to discuss this, Mr. Dr. Winston O. Boogie.
Dr. Winston, come on.
Oh, Robert, you can't be serious. Every OBC member will convince you from the opposite from now on.
Wow. But anyway, yeah.
This is. I agree with Hey Joe. Michael, I just need to secure this good for bit before. Yeah.
That's a good point. Hey.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was,
you know,
Dave, as we are probably close to an end, but let me just say this from my today's experience. Ken Damo Suzuki died a couple of days ago. We talked about it. Ken today 50% more at the fair.
Really. I mean, it's not surprising.
Crazy.
You do get this huge bounce, and you know the thing is, I mean, if we think about some of the bands and the artists, the big ones, I mean, how old are the Rolling Stones? How old? You know, we're getting into the territory now where we're going to see a lot of them pass. And
you know, when John Lennon died, it was a tragedy. When Harrison died, it was surprising. But when tomorrow, God forbid, as Joe said, Paul McCartney dies tomorrow, hey, he's almost 90. Hey,
you know, I went to Glastonbury. I saw him at Glastonbury 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He played the main stage, right, on the Saturday. So I was there for a little bit. I've never seen anything like it. Meaning, it was 100,000 people. It's a sea of people, and I was like, wow. That's something, but I mean, he's over 80, right?
Isn't he 87? Correct me if I'm wrong. I might have read.
He's in his.
Somebody will know. Somebody will know. Yeah.
I'll tell you something. Look, Hey Joe got a Tego. Oh, look, Hey Joe's got his Tego Mago.
Yeah.
So Drum VC.
I found 2 today, and I took them both. Because
sounds very super sensible.
Yeah.
And look, drum VC, Stones, Beatles, The Who, Zeppelin,
So he has to be immortal.
Well, hey, Michael, Ozzy Osbourne, right?
Ozzy Osbourne, that he is still alive. Okay, 81 or 82. Thank you.
Yeah, Justin, you're right. Ozzy Osbourne, right? I mean, apparently he's not.
That he doesn't die in his early 20s is a miracle.
Sorry, he's lived a life. Yeah.
He lived a life.
But hey, Michael, just going back to the point of this conversation now, we've got to get those records. Got to have them now.
Yeah. People today. Some people at the record fair probably said or thought I'm crazy. But I got them
now. I say that to everybody. Yeah, just get the ones you want now, because trust me, give it another 10 years.
You know,
You won't.
I'm in this now. How long are we doing? 2 years? That I'm 1.5. No, 1.5 year, I think, or 2. Yeah, let's say 1.5 year. And what I have seen in the prices, how they changed in this 18 months. It's frightening.
I have to say, there has been a, you know, there's been a particularly sharp adjustment up in the last, 3 to 5 years. Even in the last 2 years, I see it. They're really,
No, they are not.
There's only one direction for this stuff,
And
I'll tell you that
especially,
right
and
now.
especially,
There's
and
only one
especially,
direction.
yeah, and especially, Dave, the copies we are looking here for,
Yeah,
the really, really good copies with the great jackets, with the inner sleeves.
everything correct and spot
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Yeah, now you won't. I'll tell you something, and I'll tell you something now. You watch 10 years time, yeah, they'll be triple what they are now or more. I guarantee.
I want to get into this, if you allow me, Dave, and then please your
Yeah,
take,
do it. No,
because
please. It's a good tool to have.
I said I bought 2 records I didn't know about. I bought 2 records, Ors Mundi, krautrock, and they sing in Latin. I listened to the first one, amazing. Didn't know them, and they were really, really, really expensive. And I said, "Hey, why?" I said, "The answer is easy. I'm doing this for 33 years now. I've got 2 copies in this 33 years, and this is by far the best since I'm doing it." And then I say, "Okay, give it to me. This is cheap." Then this one is cheap. And it's not driven by the dealer because he never had it before. So no, I don't think it's driven by the dealers. The dealers have the experience, and they probably know more than us how extremely difficult it is to get those. They are not
Very
flying around. No, your take if you want to.
no. It's always just you know you don't finding amazing copies of things is not easy at all. You know, and they're getting scarcer and scarcer out there. You know,
Yeah.
even big record, you know, Beatles they made loads of, but it's all about picking those top quality ones out. Yeah, and it's just very, you know, it's only going to get harder. So it's kind of good that we've been on this journey now for a while. You know, I think we're all in that same boat, aren't we? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good to have everybody. Yeah,
And what I've learned in this 18 months from you, from Thomas, from the members of the OBC, wow, wow.
yeah, yeah.
We did.
See, it's a serious, it's a wild ride, but you know, hey,
Even you. I mean,
oh
last
yeah,
week's
I've done
South
loads.
American, that was splendid, wasn't it? I
It's
mean,
great
wow.
company. You know,
Yeah,
I'm here as a humble man learning about stuff, right?
yeah.
And imparting knowledge as well, obviously. But I love it. I love listening, and there's so much for us all to learn. So hey, yeah, yeah, man.
Love,
Hey,
I love this question, Dave.
uh, so, hey, it's a good. Hey, Joe, you're right. In fact, I do have a couple. You know, and again with that, I like it. You know, that's an album you want really, really nice condition, and it's nice to have a numbered copy as well. You know, for the 50,000 numbered ones, I believe, on that, and getting a nice little numbered version of that is all good. You know, you want those classics. You know, the classic albums. I think, yeah, simply because X-Bait is, yeah,
Expectation is always a very, very, very important part of a prize.
yeah,
But this is always also very important when it comes to the stock markets. But in this case, I'm not so sure that it's such a big part here, as people who are into this usually knows a lot.
yeah.
So, but very interesting point, of course. Yeah. 2023, yeah, long time ago.
Thanks, Beard in
Thank
Essex.
you.
I'm going
Yeah.
to look after you. Again, I keep feeling that I'm neglecting my classical. Yeah, and I do. I'm going to have to. I'm going to go hard classical. Actually, I need to do a bit of that next. In fact, probably. In fact, yeah, this week, end of this week, I think I'll start to hit a bit of classical again. Just because
Cool.
you got to remember where this all came from. You know, and it kind of records were invented for classical, almost. Yeah, and everything is driven from that world of how you understand how records are. So, and it just applies to everything. It's just lovely. We can translate it over to the rock and pop side, to the Beatles, you know. So that's what we do.
Exactly. That's what we do. And on Wednesday we see us again, right? When we go into soundtracks, Dave.
Yeah, soundtracks. Wow.
I can imagine that you can
That's a huge
show us
world.
some. That you also can show us some amazing copies when it comes.
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of great, you know, there's some great music that's been written specifically for film.
And and the last song from Thomas, Major Tom, with this, that was so cool, wasn't it? Wow.
It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. It's good to see everybody out. I'm really happy. It's been a great evening. So, oh look, here we go. Oh, Drum VC. I actually picked up Decorate Self. Okay, very fortunate. Drum, you should send me some pictures. I'll be interested to see what you got. I love a Decorate XL. In fact, just send me the catalog numbers and I'll know what it is. Yeah. Oh, Michael, you frozen? I can entertain everybody. Has he gone? I don't know. But anyway, look, guys, really cool, yeah.
You're still here. Sorry. My network is terrible today. I'm sorry.
Right? And then when you unfroze, you just had this plume of smoke in front of you. It's almost like you were doing a magic trick. Yeah,
that's
it's a
great.
beautiful moment.
Okay, have you something to show us, or
I think we've done everything. We've had a good evening.
Yeah, cool, wonderful.
We've done loads of we've been Beatles heavy, so yeah, guys.
Beatles and Pink Floyd. So thank you all so much. Another lovely, splendid Sunday with Dave. Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. It's always a pleasure.
It is. Thank you. Bye.